The Super Tuck was a frequent sight in World Tour racing as riders tried to go as fast as possible downhill until the UCI banned the position at the end of April last year, with Richard Carapaz famously being disqualified from Liège-Bastogne-Liège 2021 for adopting this position. And I was watching Tirreno Adriatico, the Carpegna stage, preparing a video on Pogacar's domination, when on the downhill of the second last descent of Carpegna, Bilbao adopted this position. And I thought, what's going on here? Is this allowed? It looks exactly like a Super Tuck from the front. So I went back, looked at the rules. The key points in the rules related to the Super Tuck were you cannot sit on the top tube and use it as a means of support, and only 3 points of support are allowed. The feet on the pedals, the hands on the handlebars, and the seat on the saddle. Here's a drawing of what it's supposed to look like, I guess. On this descent, this is the Carpegna descent, very technical. Bahrain victorious, had Caruso and Landa. Really don't understand what they were doing, pinning it on the front, even though UAE had paced, which put possibly the best descender in the world, their teammate, the hero of this story, Pello Bilbao, on about a 7-second gap. And they weren't trying to attack on the descent, or maybe they were, I don't know, because Caruso was pushing it, even though Landa's a better descender than Caruso, and Caruso nearly crashes in this corner, so then Landa has to wait up. Maybe Landa was just trying to be at the front for this very technical, looks like one way almost, road with the snow on the sides descent, because he was worried about crashing. I mean, Port got caught behind this and he was already on a gap. Bilbao got caught behind that. It's hard to move up. But yeah, I think they should have let Bilbao had his chance on this descent. It would have made a lot more sense. He does come back into the picture when it opens up. He had to make his way past Port. Port is dropped on that second last descent. They got Carpegna another time after this. You see him screaming back into the picture, joining on the back with Caruso and Landa. There's Jonas, Mas, Pogacar in this group ahead. And as I said, it's not technical anymore. It's very wide, good road surface, sweeping turns. It's the second part of this Carpegna descent. And actually, Bilbao's trying to already attack, but I think Caruso or Landa shuts him off in this corner, so he has to wait again. Then when the camera pans around, he's already attacked. So he clearly wanted to attack on this descent. Simmons had been in the breakaway, very strong on the second last Carpegna, dropped Alaphilippe. But now it's not about technical handling, which Bilbao's excellent at as well. This is really about pedaling, aggression, and mostly aerodynamics, because you see a lot of the riders are almost spinning out, and you see Bilbao adopt, I'm going to start calling this the Pello Tuck. But is this legal? I think he's a genius, and it is. When you look at the points of support, saddle, handlebars, pedals, no, top tube, and you see, he's actually got a bit of his bib shorts on top of the point of the saddle. So he's technically on top of the point of the saddle, unlike Carapaz, who wasn't actually quite like that. The only question is he using his chest and shoulders as a point of support on the handlebars? I guess he'd argue no, because he's actually propping himself up on his hands. When you compare this to his position pre-Super Tuck ban, you can see it's different, obviously. He actually sat on the top tube proper, but in terms of aerodynamics from the front, it pretty much looks exactly the same. So yeah, I think this is slightly different to Carapaz. Maybe because we didn't get a good side-on shot of Carapaz, that's not correct, but it looks to me like Carapaz is more at the saddle pointing into him rather than him sitting on the saddle. He got disqualified for that, bit of a grey area still, because he was maintaining a point of contact with the saddle after all. But this is just one of those quirky things, innovation, call it what you will, adaptation, Bilbao trying to take as much of an advantage. And you look at the front-on shot when he gets into the position, it looks exactly like a Super Tuck in terms of it must be just as aerodynamic, but he's complying with the rules at least. I think he's close enough to complying with the rules that he's not been disqualified for it yet, and he was gaining an advantage on those chasing behind. But yeah, this is one of those great adaptations or innovations that you probably see more regularly in Formula One, where a rider's taken a new set of rules and thought, how can I make this work for me? And I think he's the best descender in the world, Bilbao. He's been incredible. Mas couldn't follow him here. He probably shouldn't have tried to follow him in Basque Country where he crashed, trying to follow him. And it's interesting that other riders on his team, even Moritz, who was always using the Super Tuck, and this is him using it in Catalunya last year, the Barcelona stage, I haven't seen him able to replicate the Bilbao position. You remember on the Milano-Sanremo Poggio descent, famously, he adapted or innovated using a dropper seat post. But I haven't seen him able to adopt the Pello Tuck, because maybe definitely not all body types can probably get into that position as effectively as Bilbao. Mohoric more of an aggressive corner, I think, than Bilbao. But for other smaller riders, I think this is something worth trying if they haven't already, particularly as Bilbao seems to be doing it in compliance with the rules, and he has been using it to his advantage, with his descending being his #1 weapon effectively so far this year. But I hope you enjoyed the video. As I said, I'll have that Pogacar-Carpena stage analysis sometime in the next week, but I thought this was an interesting tidbit. Keep you going on a Saturday afternoon. Till Liège recaps tomorrow. Ciao.